Have you ever worked so hard that you surprised even yourself, only to blank out at the exact moment you needed your mind the most? Have you ever looked at your own struggles and quietly concluded that you must have been born lacking something, as if your fate was already stamped before you even began? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to tell you a story that begins with pain and humiliation and ends with something far more precious than good grades or quick thinking. It ends with a kind of wisdom that changes how you carry your life. And along the way, it answers a question many people are afraid to ask out loud. When you feel slow, foggy, forgetful, and stuck, is it really your brain that is the problem? Or is it the way your heart has been forced to live under pressure, fear, and scattered attention for too long? The first idea I want to give you is this. Most people misunderstand intelligence. They think it is a fixed trait like eye color, something you either have or do not have. But in real life, what we call intelligence is often the visible result of invisible conditions. Sleep, stress, trauma, guilt, distraction, self-hatred, and the constant habit of split attention can make a bright mind look dull, and a collected mind, trained in steadiness and clarity, can make an ordinary mind shine. The second idea is this. When people say they prayed to Guanyin for wisdom and their life changed, it is not the childish fantasy of wishing for a miracle and then doing nothing. It is usually a complete shift in cause and effect, a shift in intention, a shift in discipline, a shift in compassion, a shift in how they relate to pain. In Buddhist language, it is a shift in karma. And when karma shifts, destiny shifts. Now let me bring you into the story. I will not use real names, but everything you are about to hear is painfully human. Imagine a teenager, 15 years old. Not a saint, not a superhero, just a kid with a sincere heart. He had a reason to leave ordinary life behind. Some kids run toward excitement. Some kids run from pain. This kid ran toward silence because the noise of the world felt unbearable. He wanted a clean life, a life that made sense, a life guided by something deeper than competition and shame. So he became a novice monk. If you have never lived inside a strict environment, you might think the hardest part would be waking up early or eating simple food or giving up entertainment. But very often the hardest part is something else. The hardest part is losing the ability to hide. In ordinary life, you can distract yourself from your weaknesses. You can tell jokes. You can scroll. You can switch topics. In a disciplined environment, your habits stand in front of you like a mirror that does not blink. In his monastery, there was a tradition around receiving precepts. It was meant to be solemn. It was meant to be sacred. It was meant to remind the body and mind that this path is not casual. In some places, people mark that moment with scars on the head, a visible sign of commitment. The intention behind the tradition, at least in theory, was to protect the vow, to make the vow unforgettable, to say, I will not turn back lightly. But life does not care about theories. Life cares about condition. And sometimes, even a tradition with good intentions can become harmful if handled without wisdom. The day came. The ceremony happened. The teenager did what he was told. He endured a pain he did not fully understand. He believed pain would purify him. He believed pain would prove sincerity. He believed pain would burn away weakness. Then, something went wrong. Not symbolically wrong, physically wrong. The wound became severe. His body went into shock. Fever, headaches, dizziness, a heavy fog behind the eyes. The kind of fog where you look at a page and the words swim like fish. The kind of fog where you repeat a sentence and it slips away as if the mind has no grip. At first he thought it would pass. He was young. People told him young bodies heal fast. He tried to keep up with the daily schedule. He tried to do his recitations. He tried to study. And then the real nightmare began. Not the pain on the skin, the pain of losing his mind. If you have never experienced cognitive collapse, You might not understand how terrifying it is. When your memory works, you take it for granted. You assume your mind belongs to you. But when your mind cannot hold what you just read, when it cannot hold a simple paragraph, when you wake up and your head feels like it is filled with wet cotton, you begin to panic. You begin to wonder if you have been damaged permanently. You begin to wonder if your life is over before it begins. In that monastery, the schedule did not bend for one teenager. The lessons continued. The recitations were required. There were standards. There were punishments for failing recitations. Not always cruel punishments, but enough to create fear, enough to create shame, enough to create a constant pressure in the chest. So the teenager did what desperate people do. He pushed harder. He stayed up late memorizing. He repeated lines hundreds of times. He paced while chanting the text. He pressed the words into his mind like someone trying to force water into dry soil with a hammer. But here is the cruel irony. The harder he forced, the worse it got, because forcing creates tension. Tension creates stress. Stress floods the body with chemicals that can destroy memory and concentration. The mind becomes a battlefield, and battle is not a good environment for learning. You might know this from your own life. You sit for an exam and suddenly forget everything you studied. You stand up to speak and your mind goes blank. You open your laptop to work and feel paralyzed. Then you say, I am stupid. I am broken. I am not like other people. But what if you are not broken? What if you are overstressed, overstimulated, frightened, and shaming yourself on top of it? The teenager, day after day, lived inside the humiliation. He would memorize one line and then lose the previous one. He would feel like a bucket with a hole. No matter how much effort he poured in, it leaked away. He watched other students succeed easily. He watched them recite smoothly. And every time he failed, something inside him cracked. At 15, you do not have the emotional tools to analyze your own nervous system. You do not say, I am experiencing cognitive impairment due to trauma and chronic stress. You say something much simpler and much more violent. You say, I am not smart. That sentence is a curse when you repeat it long enough. It becomes identity. It becomes destiny. Because identity shapes behavior. Behavior shapes karma. Karma shapes the life you wake up in. So one night, after another humiliating day, the teenager reached a point that many people reach, whether they are religious or not. A point where pride collapses. A point where you realize your own willpower is not enough. A point where you stop pretending you can control everything. You went to a simple image of Guanyin, the Bodhisattva of compassion. In many Buddhist traditions, Guanyin represents the one who hears the cries of the world. Not just the cries spoken out loud, but the cries inside the chest that never become words. He knelt, not to perform, not to impress. No one was watching. He knelt because he had nowhere else to put his desperation, and he prayed for wisdom. Now pause here, because this is where modern people misunderstand what prayer means in a Buddhist context. Many people imagine prayer is like ordering something from the universe. Please give me wisdom. Please make me smarter. Please fix my life. Then they wait. But the deeper meaning of praying for wisdom is not asking for a magical gift. It is admitting, I cannot keep living the way I have been living. It is turning the heart toward purity. It is turning the mind toward steadiness. It is turning suffering into vow. In Buddhist practice, vow is not a wish. Vow is a direction that can hold you when emotions collapse. Vow says, even if I am afraid, I will keep walking. Even if I fail, I will return. Even if my mind is foggy, I will not abandon the path. That night, the teenager made a vow. Not a fancy vow, a simple one. Let my mind become clear enough to learn. Let me not waste this life. Let me not turn my pain into bitterness. Let me use this pain to become compassionate. And here is the first twist that most people do not expect. When you make a vow like that, you are already touching wisdom. Because wisdom is not only information. Wisdom is orientation. Wisdom is knowing what to value when everything feels unstable. After that night, nothing changed instantly on the surface. He did not wake up the next day with photographic memory. He did not suddenly become the best student. He still struggled. He still forgot. He still felt the sting of shame. But something changed inside the struggle. The struggle was no longer empty. It had meaning. It had direction. He stopped asking only, "Why is this happening to me?" and began asking, "What is this teaching me?" That shift is the beginning of awakening in daily life. Awakening is not always fireworks. Sometimes awakening is simply the moment you stop being the victim of your own pain and start being a student of it. He began to practice in a new way, not more frantic, more sincere. He began to gather his mind. Instead of forcing longer hours of desperate memorization, he began to train attention. When he recited, he actually listened. When he bowed, he actually bowed. When he walked, he walked. He tried to bring the mind back, again and again, with less violence. He also began to change something that most people ignore. He began to protect his moral energy. In Buddhist language, he strengthened precepts, not as punishment, but as support. Because when your life is careless, the mind cannot settle. When you lie, when you speak harshly, when you indulge in endless craving, the mind becomes agitated. Agitation destroys concentration. Without concentration, wisdom cannot grow. So he began to live more simply. Less gossip, less mindless chatter, less inner argument, less comparison. He reduced what scattered him. And then he added something powerful. He did not only pray for himself, he began to include others in his prayer. He thought about people who suffer in silence. He thought about students who feel stupid. He thought about parents who work themselves into exhaustion. He thought about sick people whose minds feel foggy. He began to say, "May my pain become a bridge. May I understand others." This is not sentimental. This is alchemy. Because when you turn inward suffering into outward compassion, your heart expands. And when the heart expands, the mind relaxes. When the mind relaxes, memory and learning become possible again. This is one reason why people sometimes experience sudden clarity after a sincere prayer to Guan Yin. The prayer is not only words, it is a release. A release of self-centered tension. A release of isolation. A release of the belief that you must carry everything alone. Now let me make this even more practical, because some of you are thinking, "That sounds spiritual, but I need something real. I need to study. I need to work. I need to function." Here is something the teenager learned through direct experience. There is a difference between forcing and focusing. Forcing is tight. Forcing is fear-based. Forcing is driven by shame. It says, "If I do not succeed, I am worthless." Forcing creates panic. Focusing is steady. Focusing is vow-based. Focusing is guided by compassion. It says, "I will do my best with what I have today. I will return again tomorrow." Focusing creates stability. Stability is the soil where wisdom grows. Day by day, he practiced focusing, sometimes only for a short time, but he made it honest. He trained the mind to return to one thing at a time, and slowly, almost invisibly, his memory improved, not because he became a different person overnight, but because the conditions inside him changed. His nervous system became less panicked. His heart became less ashamed. His mind became less scattered. His attention became more unified. This is the part that shocks people. They assume wisdom is purely mental, but wisdom is also emotional. If your heart is full of self-hatred, your mind cannot be clear. If your heart is full of fear, your mind cannot be steady. If your heart is full of resentment, your mind cannot be open. So when you pray for wisdom, You are also praying for an emotional purification. Not purity as perfection, but purity as less poison. The teenager began to realize something else that became a turning point. He began to see that his suffering was not only bad luck, it was also karma unfolding. Karma is a word people fear, but the simplest meaning is cause and effect, not fate imposed by an outside judge, but patterns ripening through conditions. Some conditions come from the past, some conditions come from the present, but the point of karma is not to blame you. The point of karma is to empower you. If causes create results, then changing causes changes results. So he stopped asking only for results. He began to change causes. He changed the cause of scattered attention by training concentration. He changed the cause of inner agitation by strengthening ethics and simplicity. He changed the cause of bitterness by cultivating compassion. He changed the cause of despair by building vow. This is why his destiny began to turn. Not because someone handed him intelligence like a gift, but because he began to practice in a way that rebuilt the foundations of wisdom. Now I want to pause and speak directly to you, because I know many of you are not living in monasteries. You are living in modern life, and modern life is designed to fracture attention. Your phone trains your mind to switch every few seconds. Your work environment rewards speed over depth. Social media trains comparison like a reflex. News feeds train anxiety like a habit. Even entertainment trains you to crave constant stimulation. Then you sit down to study, or to pray, or to meditate, and you wonder why your mind cannot stay still. You wonder why you forget what you read. You wonder why you feel foggy. And you say, I am not smart. But what if you are living inside a system that constantly steals your concentration, then blames you for not having it? The teenager did not have a phone, but he had something similar. He had fear and shame and pressure. Those are also attention thieves. Fear and shame can hijack your brain faster than any notification. So the lesson is not just religious, it is universal. If you want wisdom, you must protect the conditions that allow wisdom to grow. In Buddhist practice, people often speak of three trainings: ethics, concentration, not as separate subjects, but as one path. Ethics calms the heart. Concentration gathers the mind. Wisdom sees clearly. When any one of these is missing, the other two struggle. Many people want wisdom without ethics. They want insight while living in constant lies, harsh speech, and selfish consumption. But the mind will not become clear in a dirty environment. Many people want wisdom without concentration. They want understanding while feeding endless distraction. But wisdom cannot stand on a shaking floor. Many people want wisdom without compassion. They want sharp intelligence, but they want it for ego. They want it to win. They want it to dominate. That kind of intelligence can be dangerous because it increases the power of ignorance. The wisdom the teenager prayed for was different. It was wisdom that makes you kinder, wisdom that makes you steadier, wisdom that helps you see karma before it becomes regret, wisdom that turns pain into meaning. Now let me continue the story, because something happened that many people will recognize. As his practice became steadier, his mind did not only improve academically, his personality began to shift. Before, he was tense. He was easily irritated. He had a hidden anger at the rules, at the teachers, at himself. He felt trapped. After months of practice, he began to soften, not because life became easier, but because his relationship with life changed. He began to see teachers not only as enemies, but as human beings with their own fears and their own limited understanding. He began to see that some strictness was misguided compassion. Not always skillful, but not always malicious. That does not mean he excused harm. It means he stopped poisoning himself with hatred. This is important. Hatred is mental fire. Fire consumes attention. If you want wisdom, you cannot keep feeding fire. So he learned to forgive without becoming naive. He learned to respect the path without worshiping every form. He learned to separate the Dharma from the imperfect humans carrying it. That is a mature kind of wisdom. Many people never reach it. They either become cynical and throw everything away, or they become blind and excuse everything. Wisdom walks between cynicism and blindness. As his mind improved, he began to help other students. The same boy who once felt stupid began tutoring others, not because he became arrogant, but because he remembered the pain. He remembered the humiliation, and that memory became compassion. This is one of the deepest teachings in Buddhist life. Your wound can become your medicine, if you do not turn it into bitterness. Now I want to zoom in on Guanyin for a moment, because some of you might be curious and also skeptical. Who is Guanyin in this story? Really? There are many ways to understand a Bodhisattva. Some people understand Guanyin as a literal compassionate presence, a sacred being who responds to sincere cries. Some people understand Guanyin as the symbol of the compassionate mind within yourself, awakened through devotion. Some people hold both views at once. Buddhism has room for skillful perspectives because the goal is transformation, not intellectual victory. But in any view, the function of devotion is clear. Devotion gathers the mind. Devotion softens the heart. Devotion breaks pride. Devotion turns suffering into vow. Devotion connects you to a wider field of meaning, and meaning changes everything. When your life has meaning, pain becomes bearable. When pain becomes bearable, the mind stops panicking. When the mind stops panicking, wisdom can arise. So whether you interpret Guanyin as an external compassionate force or an inner compassionate capacity, the practice can still work, because the real work is the shift of the heart. Now let me speak to those of you who have been labeled. Maybe you were labeled slow. Maybe you were labeled lazy. Maybe you were labeled not academic. Maybe you were labeled the kid who cannot focus. Labels are heavy karma. They do not only describe, they shape. If you carry a label long enough, you begin to live as if it is truth. But here is what the teenager learned. You can interrupt labels with practice. You can interrupt destiny with new causes. He learned to replace the label "I am not smart" with a vow. May I be clear. May I be steady. May I be kind. May I learn. May I not waste this life. A vow does not deny reality. A vow does not pretend you have no limitations. A vow says, I will walk anyway. This is the kind of inner strength that many people call faith, but it is not blind faith. It is functional faith. It is the willingness to keep planting seeds when you cannot see the harvest yet. Now I want to share something that will connect directly to your everyday life. The teenager discovered that wisdom is not only about remembering information. It is also about seeing the mind that tries to sabotage you. In his darkest moments, he did not only struggle with memory, he struggled with an inner voice. That voice said, "You are a failure. You are embarrassing. You do not belong here. Everyone else is better. You should quit. You should give up." That voice is not wisdom. That voice is ignorance wearing the mask of realism. Many people confuse harshness with honesty. They think self-insult is just telling the truth. But it is not. It is conditioning. It is often borrowed from adults who were harsh. It is often borrowed from a competitive culture. It is often borrowed from your own fear. The teenager learned to see that voice as a mental event, not as authority. This is mindfulness. This is awareness. This is awakening in real time. When you can watch the inner critic without obeying it, you have already moved your destiny. Because the inner critic creates karma too. It creates the karma of hopelessness. Hopelessness leads to quitting. Quitting leads to stagnation. Stagnation leads to regret. Regret leads to bitterness. But when you stop feeding hopelessness, you stop feeding that chain. So he began to practice a simple inner response. When the critic spoke, he returned to the name of Guanyin. Not as superstition, but as a lifeline. Not as an escape, but as a reminder of compassion. You can do something similar even if you are not religious. When the critic speaks, return to breath. Return to a phrase of kindness. Return to the body. Return to the present. Return to vow. This is practice. This is how you build a stable mind. Over time, his learning improved. His recitations became smoother. But what mattered more was this. He became less afraid of failure. This is huge, because fear of failure is one of the greatest causes of cognitive shutdown. The brain under threat does not learn well. The body under threat does not remember well. The mind under threat does not see clearly. When he became less afraid, his mind became freer. When his mind became freer, wisdom grew. Now I want to deepen the teaching, because the title of today is not only about being smart, it is about destiny. How does wisdom redirect destiny? In a practical way. Wisdom changes your decisions. It changes what you say yes to. It changes what you say no to. It changes how you respond to anger. It changes how you handle temptation. It changes how you treat people. It changes whether you create unnecessary enemies. It changes whether you waste your energy on drama. It changes whether you invest in long-term good or short-term pleasure. All of those changes alter your karma. And karma is the architecture of your future. When the teenager was trapped in shame, he was close to quitting the monastic path. Quitting might not be wrong for everyone, but in his case, quitting would have been driven by despair, not by clarity. And that despair would have followed him into any life he chose. Because if you do not transform the mind, you carry the same patterns into a new environment. So when wisdom helped him stay, the first destiny shift was internal. He learned to face pain without collapsing. That internal destiny shift then created external shifts. Teachers began to trust him. Students began to rely on him. He became someone who could serve. And service is another form of wisdom, because service reduces ego. When ego reduces, suffering reduces. When suffering reduces, clarity increases. This is how the path feeds itself. Now I want to be careful here, because I know some of you might be dealing with real medical issues. Sleep disorders, depression, anxiety, post-trauma symptoms, hormonal problems, nutritional deficiencies. These can absolutely affect memory and concentration. Buddhism does not require you to deny the body. The body is part of the path. If you need medical support, get it. Compassion includes caring for the physical conditions of the mind. But even when the body is involved, the heart still matters. The way you relate to your limitations matters. The way you speak to yourself matters. The way you build routines that protect attention matters. The teenager did not have modern medical care. He had discipline, community, and devotion. You have different tools. You can combine them. You can build wisdom from multiple angles. Now let me give you an example in modern terms. Imagine a college student named Emily. Emily studies late, sleeps little, scrolls constantly, drinks caffeine, and then wonders why she cannot remember anything. She decides she is not smart. She feels ashamed. She panics. She studies harder in a more frantic way. Her memory gets worse. She concludes she is doomed. But if Emily changes conditions, everything can shift. If she sleeps, her memory improves. If she reduces stimulation, her attention improves. If she practices mindfulness, her anxiety reduces. If she cultivates compassion, her self-hatred softens. And suddenly, she is not doomed. She is simply human. This is the same teaching as the teenager in the monastery. Conditions create mind. Mind creates destiny. Now, you might ask, what exactly did the teenager do as a practice to pray for wisdom? He did not do one dramatic thing. He did many small, sincere things. He recited the name of Guanyin with attention, not mechanical. Attentive. He bowed, not as self-punishment, but as surrender of pride. He listened to teachings with the intention to apply them, not just to collect knowledge. He practiced restraint in speech and behavior to reduce mental agitation. He cultivated compassion by thinking of others, not only himself. He returned again and again to a single direction when the mind scattered. If you look at that list, you might notice something. None of it is supernatural. It is training. It is transformation through repetition. It is karma being rewritten through daily causes. This is why I say a single sincere prayer can redirect destiny. Because a single sincere prayer is often the beginning of a new pattern. Not the end, the beginning. Now I want to tell you the most moving part of the story. The part that makes this more than a lesson about studying. One day, after a long period of training, the teenager encountered a younger novice who was struggling the way he once struggled. The younger kid could not memorize. He kept getting punished. He was starting to hate himself. He was starting to believe he was stupid. The teenager sat with him. He did not lecture him. He did not show off. He said something simple. I know what it feels like. Then he taught him how to recite with listening. He taught him how to breathe before panic. He taught him how to pray not as begging, but as aligning the heart with compassion. He taught him to turn shame into vow. That moment is the proof of wisdom. Because wisdom is not only solving your own problem. Wisdom is being able to turn your pain into a lantern for someone else. In Buddhism, compassion and wisdom are not separate. Compassion without wisdom can become messy and enabling. Wisdom without compassion can become cold and arrogant. The two must grow together. The teenager who prayed for wisdom did not become wise only because his memory improved. He became wise because his heart became bigger. Now let me bring this directly into your life again. Because some of you are thinking, I am not a monk. I do not have time for long rituals. I need something I can actually do. Here is a simple practice you can try, whether or not you have religious faith. Each day, take a few minutes. Sit down. Put your phone away. Let your body feel its own weight. Breathe naturally. Then say a short vow in plain language. May I be clear. May I be steady. May I be kind. May I learn what I need to learn. May I not harm myself with my own mind. If you resonate with Guanyin, you can include that devotion. You can say, may compassion guide me. May I hear the suffering in myself and others and respond wisely. Then, for a few minutes, do one thing with full attention. One paragraph of reading. One small task. One gentle recitation. One mindful walk. One quiet breath before a difficult conversation. The point is not the length. The point is the quality of attention. Attention is the gate of wisdom. This is how you rebuild the mind that modern life has scattered. Now I want to address one more misconception. Because it is the reason so many people stay trapped. They believe intelligence is speed. They believe smart people learn fast. They believe smart people do not struggle. They believe smart people do not forget. They believe smart people are confident all the time. That is a myth. Many deeply wise people learn slowly. They repeat. They practice. They fail. They return. They are patient. Their wisdom comes from depth, not speed. The teenager learned this the hard way. His limitation forced him to learn depth. He could not rely on quick memory. So he relied on sincerity. He relied on return. He relied on vow. He relied on compassion. And this kind of depth becomes unshakable. Because it is not dependent on youth, energy, or perfect conditions. It is a stable inner strength. This is why, later in life, he did not just become someone who could pass exams. He became someone who could face suffering without breaking. And that is a far greater intelligence than quick recall. Now let me share a reflection that might hit you personally. Many people who think they are not smart are actually extremely sensitive. They feel more. They notice more. They carry more. But they live in a world that rewards numb speed, not sensitive depth. So they assume sensitivity is weakness. They assume slowness is stupidity. They assume their mind is broken. But sensitivity, when guided by wisdom, can become compassion. And compassion, when guided by wisdom, becomes the kind of power that heals. So if you have been judging yourself, I want you to consider this. Maybe you are not lacking intelligence. Maybe you are lacking the conditions that allow your intelligence to express itself. Maybe you need rest. Maybe you need simplicity. Maybe you need less stimulation. Maybe you need a gentler inner voice. Maybe you need a vow. Maybe you need a practice that gathers your mind instead of scattering it further. This is not self-help optimism. This is cause and effect. Now I want to move toward the closing by giving you the emotional heart of the story. The teenager did not become wise by avoiding pain. He became wise by meeting pain with awareness. He learned to ask, "What is my mind doing right now?" He learned to see the urge to panic as a mental event, not as destiny. He learned to see shame as a poison, not as truth. He learned to see compassion as medicine, not as weakness. He learned to see discipline as protection, not as punishment. He learned to see prayer as alignment, not as fantasy. Those lessons are available to you too. And yes, I have seen this in my own life, not in a monastery, but in the messy, ordinary places where most of us live. There was a period when I felt mentally exhausted, like my brain was always behind a thick wall. I would read and forget. I would work and feel like I was moving through mud. I started calling myself slow. I started believing I was losing something. Then I noticed the conditions I was living in. Too much screen time, too little sleep, constant background stress, a habit of self-criticism that I treated as motivation, and a heart that was rarely allowed to rest. I did not fix it with one dramatic breakthrough. I fixed it the way the teenager did. I changed causes. I slept earlier. I reduced stimulation. I created a short daily practice of stillness. I replaced harshness with vow. I tried to live with a little more ethical care, because I noticed how guilt and inner conflict drain the mind. I practiced compassion, especially toward myself, because I realized self-hatred was not discipline. It was sabotage. Over time, the fog lifted. Not perfectly, not forever, but enough to prove something. The mind is responsive to conditions. Destiny is responsive to karma. Karma is responsive to practice. That is the point of this story. So here is my closing reflection for you. If you have been telling yourself that you were born not smart, I want you to hold that thought gently and question it. Not with denial, but with curiosity. What conditions have shaped your mind? What habits have scattered your attention? What fears have tightened your heart? What shame has been living in your nervous system? What would happen if you replaced self-condemnation with a vow for clarity and compassion? Because wisdom is not only a gift you receive. Wisdom is a path you build. And now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a moment where you sincerely asked for wisdom, in prayer or in silence, and something in your life began to turn? Or have you ever realized that what you called a lack of intelligence was actually stress, fear, and a scattered mind? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be the exact turning point someone else needs. If you want more long-form storytelling that connects practice, compassion, karma, and destiny in everyday language, subscribe to the channel. Like the video so it reaches the people who are quietly suffering in self-doubt. And if you want to support these long videos and keep this space alive, consider joining the membership and staying close with the community. In the next story, we are going even deeper into the hidden power of sound, mantra, and why a single encounter with a sacred phrase can start a turning in a person's life.
There comes a time when you realize you want something that belongs just to you, something that brings comfort and keeps you connected to your inner world. Wall-crafted bracelet does exactly that. Quietly, softly, and consistently. If you felt drawn to any bracelet in this video, you'll find the purchase link in the video description, and many more auctions in the channel's storefront. Because sometimes the smallest item can bring the biggest sense of peace.